there's a lot of this stuff with PTSD. There's a lot of people that claim that a lot of other men are like women or people are claiming PTSD. Like there's a lot of like a scam, like with insurance, like people getting money. Do you feel like that is putting like a bad gloss on men that are actually suffering? Do you hear anything about that?
Well, I would say that there's probably a portion of people that claim to have PTSD and don't really have any good reason for PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say there's a lot of guys that say that they don't have PTSD and actually do have some PTSD.
Wow, so there's a lot of brave men.
There's a lot of guys that don't want to admit to it. But I think we're getting better about that. As we get better about saying, hey, it's okay if you've got PTSD, a lot of people go, oh, is it? Okay, well then I guess I had PTSD too, or I have PTSD too. So I would say there's some of that out there, and I think I'm not quite sure what to do about that or how to handle that. But I think that guys, for me, when I meet a guy that's been through a lot, I just want to help them out, whatever way we can, and make sure that they are getting the help that they need. And if we help some people that don't really need it, okay. I mean, that might be the sacrifice that we make.
That's a good way to look at it. Would you ever have to be deployed again or no?
No, because I retired.
You did?
Yeah.
But if shit hit the fan, can we count on you?
I'd be back ready to rock and roll.
That's cool. I went to...
but no, the serious answer to that is I fully retired. So unless we get like level 9 World War III going on, I probably won't be participating. And more important than that, there's plenty of guys in the military right now that are way better than me, and they got it handled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I went to, over the years I did some different, just going and doing some service. We went to Iraq one time, we went to Arif John one time and went to that, it's like a base or something where people land, and a lot of planes land. I think it's in Saudi Arabia maybe, but they had a moment where there's this alarm that goes off if something comes into the base, and then everybody's just kind of standing there, and you're waiting to see like if something is going to blow the fucking building off the floor.
Yeah.
And it was like... Bro, it was the craziest thing. I didn't know, and I'd never been around that.
Were you in a bunker? Did they get you into a bunker of some kind?
No, I was actually in the gym, and it just went off. I guess something had come over one of the fences, and there's this alarm. And it was just one of the most scariest things that I had ever heard. And been a part of, because basically then I was waiting for 30 seconds to see if I was going to be alive. It was like a really shitty game show kind of.
Yeah, so that sucks. And then like I've been in a couple situations where I was getting mortared, and where I've actually heard mortar launches, so now they're coming, and you don't know, and it's just a roll of the dice at that point. But then again, that's like you're shaking your head like, oh my God, that's nothing compared to like when we were talking about earlier about World War I, where these guys were taking that sustained bombardment of massive, like I'm talking about, I had 9 mortars shot at me. These guys had tens, if not hundreds of thousands of artillery rounds fired at them. There was millions of rounds. Like I think it was the Battle of the Somme. Before the Battle of the Somme, they fired 1.6 million rounds at the enemy before they started. So we're talking a whole nother level, and that's why you see guys go watch some World War I videos on shell shock. It's one of the most horrible things you can see, and it also shows you how fragile the human mind is, and that there's guys that would go blind. There's nothing wrong. They never got hit, but they would go blind, or they'd go deaf, or they'd go mute because their mind would just completely shut down, or they couldn't control their body anymore. It's a horrible thing. So I'm glad you got to experience 1/1,000,000th of a fraction of a percent of that when you were in Saudi Arabia and the horn went off. But seriously, take that fraction of a second and you just multiply it to infinitely, and that's what these guys experienced.
I can't even imagine what these guys. I mean, I can't even fathom. Is it so loud that you can't think, or is that like how it is the first couple of times you hear like some explosions and then it starts to adjust?
It's weird. Your mind does some things when there's situations going on that I'm sure you've heard this before, that things slow. You ever been in a car accident and things slow down? Did things slow down?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that. There's also some selective hearing that starts to take place where you can hear things like a voice that you might not normally hear because there's loud gunfire or whatever. So yeah, there's some things that your mind does in that survival mode that are very effective and make you a little bit more ready to handle the situation at hand.
Do you start to have, did your faith adjust as you went through experiences like that? Like, did you have any, was there anything like that that kind of happened for you?
You know, for me, it was sort of like my patriotism. Like it is what it is. It was what it was. Does it get strengthened? Like, I'll tell you, the thing that strengthened me more than anything is from a faith perspective, is like, you get to see guys that put their friends above themselves.
Wow.
And you know, guys that put their own lives, their friends' lives above their own lives. And when you see that,
is it pretty incredible?
If there's a, you know, maybe it's not a doctrinal religious element to that, but there is a deeply spiritual,
powerful, huh?
thing when someone says, you know what, I'm going to make sure, and you know, this happened with one of my guys named Mike Mansour. You know, there was a grenade thrown onto a roof, and there was 3 guys up there with him, and he jumped on that grenade, and he sacrificed his life for his friends. And if that's not a level of spirituality and belief, and he was a very faithful guy, he was a believer in God, and you know, I think that with seeing that and knowing that, with, you know, just understanding that can happen, and that's a religion unto its own.
The way that we treat each other and the sacrifice we can make for each other, there's a religion right there, kind of. Wow, that's powerful, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing some of those. Good evening, good afternoon, and other times. Thanks for watching that video you just saw. I mean, it was okay. But the next video you could watch could be way better. What if you watch a video right now that changes your life? Well, you could watch this one, or watch this one. Watch this one, watch this one, watch this one. Ah!